Hello everyone, welcome to the Context Needed podcast. I'm Kyle, joined by Mr. Trash Boy with the shaved beard, Ryan.
And the chins.
All the chins. If chins were like Pokemon, Ryan would have them all.
Jesus Christ.
And super rare gacha washy boy with the white face, it is Ollie.
That's that eBay face.
That is that auto trader face.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm just before we start, I'm gonna be a little distracted because I have to research this now. If I'm right, I found my car.
It's part
of Minecraft then, kid.
Yeah, it is part of what we was wanting to talk about today anyway. But before we do go forward with the podcast, there has been some maintenance issues with the internet provider around my area. So if the podcast does drop, we won't be able to get it back up live. We're still recording it, my side, so they will still go live on the audio services tomorrow at 8, and it will go live on YouTube on Monday at 8 as usual as well. But going forward, seeing as Ollie is still currently looking, we wanted to talk about our cars that we've had, the previous quirks they've had, the lemons we've drove, and just maybe the buying of cars experience as a whole, because Ollie's currently, literally as we speak, looking at a car that he thinks he may have found, the golden one. I don't
know. It could be, but it might not be. I've contacted them, but I don't think they're going to be open at 9 p.m, so I'll have to wait.
Yeah, on a Saturday.
Why aren't you open at 9 p.m. on a Saturday?
It'll be him, like, at the dealership doing the Eric Andre, let me in.
Just his nose up against the glass.
And they're not open till Monday, so I'm going to be tortured.
It's good. You're going to be checking it constantly.
I'm literally looking at it right now, and it's just like, oh, please be the right one.
Oh yeah, because Ollie's looking at them right now. Me and the wife literally went and looked at a Civic earlier and just like basically made the agreement for a Civic earlier as well. So, I mean, I think Ryan, you've been talking about potentially looking at cars as well, haven't you?
Yeah, it's like space. I mean, that's the main thing for me. Yeah. Like, in a ideal world, there won't be so many people on my street who drive little shit cars and then park badly and take up loads of space. So I'm sat there like, fuck off. I want to be able to put another car on the road. I'd love another car. Another car.
With like the parking situation, it's shitty everywhere you go. Because I remember before the current neighbours we've got moved in, we had so you've seen my house, haven't you, Ryan? So it's like the end of a road to a T.
It's not ideal.
Yeah, it's there's really like literally you go down a quiet road to a T, which is like a turning point. Everyone has double driveways pretty much. But there was the house that's like at the other corner of the T from us. So like if we're here, there's the T here. And their driveway is like enough for like 3 normal size saloon cars. Like you could fit 3 Vauxhall Vectras there. And they the people who used to live there before,
they had 4 Vauxhall Vectras.
they'd leave like it was like a Toyota Aygo on the front of the drive, and then always have the other guy park out on the actual road, but he'd never park always like really close to the curb. So every now and then, the other side of him, a van would have to park on the path, and they'd literally like block the access to the end of the street at times. But I remember seeing one point, I think the guy who was the other side, who had the van, had to have another van, but it was like a wagon style van, like a flatbed. So the way he'd parked, you physically couldn't park the other side. Otherwise, it wasn't like you was kind of blocking. It was like, no, you'd be 100% blocking it. So he left it there. And I remember getting out of my car as they was getting out of their car, the dickhead neighbours who were parking. And the woman started having a feel like, if you've got something that big, you should be parking it on the drive. Even though they never parked their big car on the drive, it was the little city car they'd park on the drive. I just felt like saying like, maybe you should take a leaf out of your own book.
Preaching it, but you're not really following it, are you?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had some dickhead. Well, luckily they've recently left. I won't name any names or say anything, but they got this fucking shitty van, like scutty van, not washed, not cleaned, full of shite in the front.
Proper white van, man.
Well, he couldn't park that. She couldn't park this fucking fake 4x4 she had, and you'd just be there like, do you fucking mind? I was like, and then they were like, oh, they're going. And I was like, oh, and they went. And then we've got people in who are taking up, well, they're not as bad, but I think they've still got 2 cars, I think. So it's like, fuck off. Find somewhere with a drive. Buy that. Because there's people who go and buy houses and they've got like 4 cars, but not a drive, and they don't get a house with a drive. It's like, why? Why do that? Like, I'm quite lucky to have a drive for 2, and then we can park on the road in front of a house. And if you really wanted to, you could park and block the drive as well. But you'd have to be the first person out in the morning.
I remember there used to be where Danny used to live in the village down the road. There was a family opposite, and they used to keep this fucking shitty old battered like Citroen van. It wasn't even like it was like a special one. It was just like a generic kind of Citroen little fucking like caddy van.
Work van, yeah.
And it never came off the drive, but they left it on their drive, and then the car they actually used, they used to park on the road. But I'd been parking on the road on the other side and a bit up for years and years. And then they turned up and they just started parking like on the opposite side and would block the road. But for some reason, all the residents in the village decided it was my fault, even though I'd been parking there first and they turned up. And it was just like, oh, they were the fucking worst. And they
we don't like introverts here.
Yeah,
the local people.
I really local shop. I hate it when you get shit like that, when people like get like, I understand like when people park shit and get in the way and stuff, but like the amount of times it's like the little villagers that try and keep like the image of the village, and it's like, oh, you shouldn't park there, it makes it look bad, but then you can literally just go, no, fuck you. Road law states I can park here.
It doesn't meet with the village's rustic aesthetic.
Well, it was like, do you remember reading the story? There was like an older guy who lived out in like a really like proper rustic village that used to win like awards for the way it looked, and he had a bright yellow Corsa, and it got vandalized by the residents because they said it wasn't keeping up with the village's appearance. So I remember
vandalism's fine.
Yeah, but like,
let me just go and buy an old like Herald or a fucking just fucking a Ford like Marina.
Yeah, Morris Marina.
I just remember like after that it made like a big news on like, I think it was like Car Throttle posted it and a load of other car websites posted it. And they did this big car rally going through the village, all of them in bright yellow cars. But it wasn't just like normal cars. Like there was people in bright yellow Lamborghinis and Ferraris driving through this idyllic village, revving the fuck out of their engines.
Good.
I'm sure like he ended up getting insurance payout for it and then went and got a lime green car as well.
Ooh, yes. Spicy. He's probably memeing them.
He's literally doing the come at me bro thing right there.
To be honest, talking of cars, I've noticed recently there's a lad who I used to go to school with who now lives down at the end of my street, who he used to have like a Seat Leon. It was diesel, but he'd done stuff to it and he made it go.
Yeah.
And he got rid of that and he's been in like work vans, but this 350Z's turned up at the end of my street and I'm like,
wonder if it's his.
I'm pretty sure it's his. If it's not, it's one of his mates, but I'm just like, please boy, I want to see you send that fucker. I want to see it going. I've seen it blocked, I'm like, ooh.
I still need to get Becky to send me the video because I remember when she bought the Qashqai, I kept on saying to the dealers, like when they was coming out with like the PCP deals and stuff, I kept on saying, does that come with a free GTR? So it got to the point where they went, if she accepts this or the next deal, we'll let you have a test drive in one. and she ended up accepting one of the deals. So like the next week I got to go drive a GTR, and she sat in the back having to lay across the seats because there's me and another 6'4" guy in the front seat because you have to have the guy there for the insurance purposes. And it got to the point where we was driving down some B roads, got to like a little village, and it was I think it was like a 30 road. It then goes up to a 70, and there was no one behind me. So I literally just said, I'm gonna literally creep up to the 70 and then fucking floor it. And he went, yeah, go for it, send it. The guy who was sat in the car with me from Nissan was like, literally, fucking send it, bro. Becky didn't hear me say this. So she sat in the back. I absolutely fucking send this GTR, and all you hear from the back is, "Ow!" Because she banged her head against the pillar as I sent it.
She's there like, "Oh my god!" Like, oh jeez.
She's like pinned on the rear windscreen.
I've been in fast cars before, but the way that thing accelerated was just insane.
It's ridiculous. It is insane. So it's awfully bright.
Dream cars.
I'd
Skyline.
love to.
Give me a Skyline.
I'd love to be able to take a GTR like round a track. That would be just to be able to literally just go balls to the wall with it.
I don't even know. Like, I kind of look at Donington's track days.
Donington's an okay track.
Yeah, no, it's decent.
only
My
down
dad
the road
went
for
and did
us.
my dad did a.
That'd be a good laugh for your X5.
Oh yeah, my dad did a what's it called down there? He did a rally car, like
Rally
it's
car
just this old-
experience.
yeah, where you're going over the dirt rally car, and that was really good. And then he got to do like we didn't even realize we'd booked him this session where he did this rally car thing, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you've got a 4x4 experience as well." And we're like,
Oh, nice.
Oh, that'd
"Okay,
be fun.
sure." We'll take it."
Sound.
So he got to do this 4x4 experience in this really nice Land Rover Defender, and the guy was like, "Wait, like you really know what you're doing?" It's like, "Yeah, I literally drive for a living." He just does all truck driving. So this guy's like, "I don't even need to teach you anything. You just because obviously he's driven them before. He's just like,
you just do you."
Yeah, he got it.
You just have a good time.
I think that's one thing.
I could drive. Sorry, they're one of their first driving experiences. Drive a BMW M4. Oh, spicy.
I mean,
I don't know. That'd be pretty good.
well, I think the issue with those like supercar ones and the sports car ones is I remember
They don't let you drive them fast.
Yeah, that was the issue because I think we was looking at doing that for my stag do. Me and Tom were. But then you'd like look at the reviews of them and stuff, and it was like it's fine if you're not a car guy and you just want to have a feel for like some car you're never going to be able to attain, kind of thing. But if you like, if you actually like to put the pedal to the metal and drive, they don't let you. That you can't really
the
like.
Insurance is way too much for them.
Yeah, but it's just like. Some of them, like I can understand when it's like a fucking limited edition Huracan or something like that, but some of them, it's like it's an M3. I understand.
Or
it's
the first gen GTR or something.
Yeah. I understand. Like, okay, this is an expensive 3 Series. It's still a 3 Series.
It's got all the bells and whistles. We've got heated seats. I'm like, I'm here to drive fast, boy.
Don't turn
I'm not
those
here
on.
to toast my arse.
I won one of those track day experience, and then I googled it, and I saw the reviews, and everyone's just like, the cars are in really bad. Like they had a GTR, and they're like, the GTR was really poorly because the turbos have never spooled on it, so it's like the GTR felt really like sluggish. They wouldn't let you. It's like they'd let you briefly put your foot down, but like. You couldn't carry any. You had to literally like slow down and creep around the corners, and it was just like, oh, I don't want to just.
What's the point?
Rally Master, you get to drive a Toyota GT86, and it's like,
oh, I don't know. That would be a good laugh on.
That would be fun for rally. Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's like all the cars that are in there. It's like the car you get when you want like. Another car. It's like if you wanted a Supra or something, it's like, oh, here you go. Here's that, but not as good.
I'd love to do a rally. I'd love to do a rally experience with like some of the older, like top tier rally cars, like thinking like the Toyota Celica GT40, some of the older Imprezas that they used to do, and then there was I remember there was the Mini Cooper that just wrecked everyone because it was so light, kind of thing. And then there was
that was the first Mini Cooper won the Monte Carlo Rally. Many times.
Wasn't there as well like the Escort Cosworth RS did win a few as well, with the mighty picnic table on the back of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like.
I've lunch after this, kids. Don't you worry.
I would like. Just like all sat around with like plastic chairs on like the rear windscreen. I'd like to try like a Group B car or something like that. That'd be a laugh.
Was Group B the one that got banned?
Yes, because it kept killing people.
Yeah, it kept killing people, didn't it? Yeah, I remember that now.
Even though the car, because people are like, they were the fastest. It's like current WRC cars are easily faster than the old Group B cars. It's more so that was back when they literally just took a car and went, let's just turn the turbos up and see what happens. Because that's pretty much all most of them were. Like,
how fast can we make this bitch?
Well, the RS200 was, I want to say it was basically the Cosworth engine, and then they just whapped a massive turbo on it. There was the Audi Quattro, where I can't remember his name. His second name's Gumpert. He made the Gumpert Apollo. He was the person who basically said, why don't we put four-wheel drive in a road car, like that isn't an SUV? And they made the Quattro. Yeah. And then there was Toyota actually made a Group B MR2, but it never made it to... It never came out because Group B got banned before they finished it.
Yeah, I've just literally Googled some of the cars that were in the Group B era, and literally the first one that comes up, Audi Quattro.
Yeah, it's the most famous.
Do you know what?
Sound to it as well.
Or the Lancia Delta S4, though.
The only Quattro I'd be interested in driving is the one off Life on Mars and Ashes to Ashes.
Oh,
just so, just so you can start quoting the show.
It was a show on BBC where basically I never watched Ashes to Ashes. I watched Life on Mars, where basically for Life on Mars it was like a chief detective or head detective for like the London police, and he gets into a car accident or something.
Yeah,
but he ends up going back like 20 or 30 years. He's still himself. He's still in the police force, but he's like in the old school police force kind of thing. And the idea is he's in a coma.
What's the actor's name? What's the actor's name?
It's not where Fire Up the Quattro comes from.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
I've heard that, but I didn't know what it's from. Yeah.
Let me get the actor's name.
I say it
was a UR Quattro, I think. It was a UR, that the long wheelbase.
I saw that Quattro at the Classic Car Show.
Probably.
Let me get my Instagram up.
It was John Sim and Philip Glenister.
I saw the the little tiny car that Jeremy Clarkson drove around the BBC offices.
The PLP50.
Yeah, I actually saw that very car.
We should drive that into the office at work.
That's my dream car, guys. But the one you get on when you get it on Force Thingy Horizons.
You put the stupid engine in it, can't you?
Just
whack
a massive engine on it.
I tell you what I did see. There was a few of them actually. There must have been like an owners club or something. You know, the BMW iSetter. It's a bit bigger than the Peel. There was like 4 of those in Shrewsbury parked up the other day when I was on my way home from work, and it was just like, the fuck? There's like 4 of them all parked up.
I've never seen it. Wait, what? I didn't know that was a BMW.
Yeah. Oh, there was like 4 of them. There was like 2 yellow ones. I think there was a blue and a white one.
Apparently, you can fit 2 people in them. Imagine me being in that.
You can fit 4 if you cut them up.
That window. To be honest, we were talking about buying cars. Though we saw an FC. An FC for sale.
Oh, the RX. Was it the RX-7 you was on about?
It was RX-7 FC. Yeah, that one we saw the other day on Auto Trader. I was like,
I saw that because I've set my budget a lot higher than I would have previously for cars, and I've kind of come to the conclusion I can afford some really silly cars at the moment.
Yeah,
well, I was like,
I'm going for a Volvo, but I've realised I did another economy run in the Jimny the other day, and it came back at 19 miles per gallon. So
That's worse than my Z4 when I had that. My Z4 was 22.
that's worse. That's worse than a 5-litre V8 supercharged Jaguar XFR, which I can currently afford. I was just like,
so why are you still here?
Why haven't you sold all your cars and bought one?
the tax is quite expensive, but I can afford it. The insurance isn't actually that bad at all. Like, it's a bit more expensive than what I'm paying, but not a lot.
With my MX-5, I'm like, I could sell that and I could pick up an RX-7. Like, this FC I could pick up, but it's just like, it's not really a daily driver.
You're going to have like an engine rebuild, definitely. Yeah, because I think it was
rebuild after rebuild, bro.
Because didn't you see
even if you had an FD?
Yeah, but didn't you see
I was looking to get an FD originally.
Didn't you see there was an RX-8 or something? Because I remember there was the new guy who was seeing it, and he went, "Oh, that's not a bad price for that, especially at that mileage." And it was like 70,000 miles. And I went, "Yeah, the reason why it's not a bad price is because at that mileage, the apex seals need changing, which is a full engine rebuild." And he was like,
"Yeah."
He was a bit confused about
that. The new guy is like, he's 37. He's just learning to drive, but he's only learning to drive automatic and has no idea about cars. Don't get me wrong. I'm no expert in cars, but he was just there like, the first thing I saw is he got Mercs up, and I'm like...
Yeah, he's looking at Mercedes.
I was like, you know what? Trying to fit into the stereotype here? Are you trying to fit into the stereotype you're currently dropping yourself in? You're making it worse.
I meant someone exactly like that, and you know when someone's not a car guy, when you mention a Volvo Polestar, and they go, "Oh, it's just a Volvo," it's like, you have no idea what you're talking about, do you?
It's like, you know they understand at least something when you mention Polestar, and they go,
Okay,
I understand.
yeah. But no,
I'm okay with this decision.
Someone was like, "Oh, you should." Well, they said, "Oh, that's boring." I said, "Okay, what would you suggest?" And then they sent me a fucking a Mercedes E220 CDI Blue Tech, and I was just like, "Ooh, yeah."
I drove one of those. It was so boring.
They're comfy. They're comfy, but yeah, it's just like.
Because it was
no.
we went to it was like a reception party for one of Becky's family members, and the father-in-law's Audi was in the garage, so he was given, I think it was literally an E220 Blue Tech, whatever they call it, Mercedes, for his like courtesy car. And I wasn't drinking that night. I just wasn't feeling drinking. So I had like a shandy, and I just said, "Nah, I just don't feel like drinking." So I just said to Andy, like, "Andy, I've got fully comp. If you want to have a few more beers, I'll drive us back. It's fine." And he was like, "Oh, but it's a courtesy car." I was like, "Yeah, but it will go off your insurance. It's fine." I don't think it did go off his insurance, so I probably broke the law there. but it was literally, he finished his drink, and then I just saw this look in his eye, and then he walked off and he went, "I'll be driving home tonight." I didn't even need to see him come back with the second beer before I felt him put the keys in my pocket. It's like I knew as soon as he walked off I was driving it. I was just driving back, and it was just, it was comfy.
Yawn.
Yeah, it was quiet. But my God, it's so, like, literally, like you said, yawn-inducing. It was so tedious.
Yeah, so, it's just... Gone.
I'd really like a Honda Civic. Really like a Honda Civic. Like an old, like, 90s era Honda Civic.
Oh, the older, like, bubble shape.
Yeah, one where I can slam it to the ground. It just looks fucking clean. And I found one which is a show car. And... oh boy, the rear end is orange. The front is this, like, these flames.
Ollie, I'm getting a distinct tasting of rice right now.
It's fucking ricer, bro. Oh, the interior's yellow. It literally says. Wait, this is the description on Auto Trader. 1.6. It's a Honda Civic, 1989. 1.6 CRX, 3-door, 130 brake horsepower, stunning CRX, all in caps, show car, exclamation mark. Mate, if you turned up to a show in something like this, bro.
A show car from the fucking Fast and the Furious 1 days, more like.
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Bro,
do you remember the Max Power days? That was a dark time for motoring.
It was just all...
It was just down the side of your car, kid.
It was just literally...
That's the reason Supras are so expensive.
Yeah. It's literally like... Oh,
You need to
sent
bring
it
this
me.
up on stream.
Have you
I'm going to
sent
send
it
it you
me?
on thingy. You need to bring it up. Here you
Send
are.
it me on
see it.
Facebook, yeah, so I can see.
Yeah, I'm just doing that. You need to
need to
bring
see
this
this.
up so people can experience.
Oh my
this.
God.
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm about to look at it.
Oh,
Just 'cause
the
for anyone
screen setup
listening,
in the
I'm-
back is so
Oh my
bad.
god!
Okay, I'm
Oh my god!
I'm going to change the screen over to the one where I'm currently looking
Okay,
at.
right.
So
Oh, it's
people
got a
should
car.
be
They've
able
got
to
a
see it
drawing of
now.
another car on the side of it as well, driving in
gonna-
the opposite direction.
I'm gonna just narrate it for anybody that's listening and not obviously viewing it. So I'm gonna try and explain
It's
what
got
is
the
burning
fucking
my
butterfly
retinas.
wings. It's got the butterfly doors.
butterfly. They're called gullwing, you cretin.
No, gullwing is when they open directly out.
Tell I, they're Lambo doors. They're
Yeah.
Lambo doors. Sorry. Okay, so it's a Honda CRX for starters. It looks like it's on fire. Like when Ryan said flames, I was envisioning like cartoony flames. It's more like it's been wrapped with like a HD texture of flames all over.
The fucking
Like
exhaust.
Minecraft Minecraft HD texture pack flames.
Yeah,
like
that's
photos of realism.
So it's flames at the front, and it fades to like a solid. It is just orange on the back.
There's a
just
picture of
orange as the
somebody's
colour.
face on the front of that. Can you see the picture of someone's face? I just
Yep.
can't make out who the fuck it is.
Let me see. I'm
I'd
going to
also
try and
like
find
to
a
add,
picture.
I think it also has. Yeah, it does. It has reversing cameras on it. But the exhausts, I reckon I could get my head in each
Yeah, I
of
was
those.
about to say, you
That
can get
is
your head in them.
a generously sized exhaust, and then
Have you-
the
just look at the
interior
gear
is a
stick, look at the
mixture
gear
of
stick. The gear
gear
stick.
stick, which appears to be fitted backwards.
It also the gear stick
and-
literally looks like a toy you'd find at Ann Summers.
Yeah, that's definitely on backwards as well. 100%. That is on backwards.
That's an honestly, this is an abomination of a car.
The screens
The
are in the
inside-
fucking, the screens are in the visors.
Oh, okay. So the inside has been color coordinated to late 90s, early 2000s McDonald's play area.
Oh, wait!
Yellow
I
and
found a
red.
picture of the guy in the front. Wait. Oh, so it's a tribute, right? To let me see if I can
Please say
find this.
Paul Walker. Please say it's Paul Walker.
No, it's not Paul Walker. It's a
Fire would be really fitting.
It's a tribute to Tim Slaphead Briley.
Yeah, I saw the name
Briley Coach
Slaphead.
Works.
Let's go back to the podcast.
Is it Ayrton Senna tribute car?
Oh my god, it is! It's Ayrton Senna.
Like I
It
don't
is,
know
yeah, you
Formula
can-
One, but yeah,
that is Ayrton Senna, and I can tell because he's got the Marlboro suit on as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so. It's an Ayrton Senna because Ayrton Senna did drive for Honda.
Yeah.
So I guess
the wheels
I
have
don't
got
think
flames
you
on them as well.
yeah, I've just seen that. That's
It's
this is just an adventure.
that car is
I'm trying to
literally
work
a
out what the-
time capsule. That is what that car is right now.
It should be up.
Okay, so
in a museum.
I mean,
it looks. Okay, so it's his F1 car on the side.
Yeah.
And I
There's
think
another
the other
picture of him.
side.
It's that him.
And then I think the other side maybe looks like his helmet. I think.
It's
Yeah.
like you
His
can see
helmet
his
was like-
face in it as well. Like he's got his eye.
Yeah, because his helmet has the green and the yellow and the red stripe. But
Yeah.
oh my god, it is.
it's
Oh,
it's an interesting
if
thing
I
to look at.
if I died and someone made a tribute car like that, I would come back from the dead and slap your shit.
It's only done 3,000 miles because it's a fucking show car.
I don't believe that.
How
for a
that
minute.
can't be possible.
Well, how would he have
I
got it to
don't
all
believe
those
that for a minute.
amazing
The seats-
shows where he won 5 stars and won awards when he got to?
Look,
If you took that to a show nowadays, you'd be ridiculed and sent home. Like I could take
You
an
would.
anime titty girl car to a show and get less flack than that.
Yeah, you could.
honestly, with the kind of motoring scene at the moment, I just don't think you'd get any flack for a titty girl.
No,
Well,
you
I
probably
can see
wouldn't.
on the odometer.
Yeah, honestly, like motoring, like there's a lot more. Like I think even more now than before. Like Japanese culture is really, really kind of like getting blasted like on everything.
It's the JDM car guys and the weebs are becoming one, basically.
Bro, Noriaro, I think his name is on YouTube. His videos are amazing because he goes to like every type of like car meet in Japan.
Yeah. Well, didn't you show me the video of him when he was driving? He was driving the AE86, and they pulled into a side slip road, and then a guy turned up in an RX-7, pulled up alongside him, and they just started having a chat. And then a random taxi driver drove into the parking spot the wrong way around to take a picture.
It was one of their friends was with them who'd got the RX-7,
Oh, right,
and they were. It wasn't just a random slipping. That was the mountain where they based it Mount Akina off.
Yeah.
From
Initial
D. So they were driving about there because they were going up the mountain with this A86 in panda colours.
Yeah.
With tofu in the back of it.
Yeah,
And
tofu,
a couple
didn't
water on the front. And they got the RX-7 with them. Obviously, the thing is FC. But there's he did another video recently, and it was from a while back where he went to just a A86 meet. Of course,
there must have been so many nice ones.
Of course, because they were in, obviously, I can't remember the name of the actual mountain, but where Mount Akina is meant to be, and like where Initial D is set.
Yeah,
there was a couple of RX-7s there, like based off thing. But oh my god, the A86s were they're in such good condition because people look after their cars there.
They are.
Yeah.
Well, they don't grit the roads in a lot of Japan as well. That's why imports are so sought after.
Yeah. Well, they have.
It's a shame, really, that A86 is gone.
Yeah, sorry, just because you were saying about gritting, when I was learning Japanese, the tutor lived in Sapporo, so it's one of the areas where it goes ridiculously hot to fucking can't see anything for the blizzard kind of weather.
Yeah.
The law literally is, as soon as it reaches a certain part of the year, if you don't have snow tires, that car is not road legal, and you'll get a massive, hefty fine for not having snow tires.
That's what should be here. I honestly think it's just a case of you should just have, rather than gritting the roads and destroying cars, because it destroys cars so quickly, they need to just sell. At the end of the day, if you're buying a brand new car, what's the cheapest car you can buy? You're still looking at 10 grand?
You can get the Dacia Duster for $6,000. Let me see how much the Dacia is.
That's because that's just cheap Chinese rip-off bullshit.
Hey,
though,
but it's
I don't think you can get the Duster for $6,000. You can't get a Duster for $6,000.
Oh no, sorry, it's a Sandero. The Sandero is a starting price of $7,000.
Yeah,
and that is, I'm sure that is the cheapest car you can buy brand new on the road.
We need to fix our potholes as well first.
So see, and most people are buying probably more expensive cars than that. What is a cheap of just set cheap steel wheels with some winter tires that comes with a brand new car? It's maybe £800.
I wouldn't even say that, depending on the car. I mean, for my car, it would probably be about £500 because I can get winter tires for my car at £50. They're literally £50 a tire. So it would just be the steel wheels.
Tires over in Japan are so easy to get, like second-hand tires over there that are still like in decent nick. It's something that happens, and I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine that over here. It's like, yeah, second-hand tires makes sense.
Well, they have part-worn tires over here, but they're just trash most of the time. It's not worth it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Like,
I've just had to spend £200 on some tires of mine.
I'm not looking forward to paying for tires on mine.
I've bought some because I've had a slow puncture for like the past few weeks. And I've just used Black Circles to buy just all 4 tires because with it being...
They're good, Black Circles.
Yeah, well, with it being just a little Kia Picanto, the tires are like so cheap. It was £50 for these tires.
Yeah.
I think they're called like Nanking or Nanking tires. They were like...
Nanking.
Yeah, Nanking. And they're basically just Kumho tires, aren't they?
No, they use old... I can't remember if it's BF Good... I think it's old Goodyear mouldings, I think. Obviously, it's their own compound, but they use the same tread patterns as old Goodyears.
I could spend £70 and get some Kumho tyres if I wanted to, but it's like, it's a Kia Picanto, it weighs fuck all, it's got no power, as long as the tyres are sticky enough to stick me to the road when I need to, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I'm not spending ridiculous amounts of money on that car's tyres. It's just not worth it. But then you go to like when I had the Z4, and it was for the Pirelli P0s that were on it.
they're
it was
expensive.
it was because it was the 19-inch alloys as well with the ultra low profile tires. It was £250 a tire.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Bike tires were like that as well. Like one bike tire was about 250 quid because they're they're really specialist compound. I got a really good deal on my Jimny tires. Actually, they were only 70 quid a corner, and they weren't small tires because they're all like big, beefy all-terrain tires. But they were actually only quite cheap.
How much are the MX-5 tires? Have you seen?
I've not looked yet. I don't know.
They're probably off the top of my head. They're probably size-wise somewhere between 185 and maybe 205. They're probably 185.
I'd say I bet you could get
oh
some cheap ones from Black Circles for like 140, but there'd be ones where it's like you could have them.
Oh, less than that.
But you wouldn't.
You could
want
probably
them.
get them for probably. I would say you could probably get some okay tyres for about 80 quid a corner for the MX-5, I reckon.
Yeah.
Mine currently
You
on
get
it, the
them
ones that I got on it,
reasonable.
they're Bridgestone ones. I can't remember.
They'll
exactly
be decent tyres.
Yeah.
Then. They'll probably be a bit more, but you could probably get some some Nankings or something like that for fairly cheap.
Yeah.
So it's saying 195.50s. Let's have a look. How much is that?
195. There you go.
Yeah.
Called it.
75 for Avon towers. So 75 per tire.
Avon are okay. Avon are
and then for like just
they're a known
bog
brand.
standard ones, it's like 49 quid. I
Are
honestly, I'm
they
not
Black
going to.
Circle's own.
Yeah, it is. I was like, spicy. You know, if I want to go on get on the fucking on the tollgate and do some drifting, but no.
Yeah, go kids.
They're literally the tires you'd buy if you want to shred them and not care. That's the kind of tire they are.
I shit up George the other day because it was a bit wet the other morning, and I just fucking came out this corner and I just fucking sent it, and it was still turned. So I just let the back end out. Luckily, traction control was on because he's there like. Fuck, and I'm like, let's go.
He's not really a car guy, is he? Though
Oh man,
he is a car guy. He really likes cars. He doesn't know much about cars because he doesn't drive.
Fair
you
enough.
start to learn more about cars. Like as soon as you like get a car and you drive it, you're like, I know what I'm doing.
Never let me drive your MX-5. Never let me drive it. For your sake, don't ever let me drive it.
The only reason I don't because my neighbour across the road, he goes on it because he's got one. He's like, turn that traction control off, and I'm like, boy, I'll be in a ditch within 5 seconds if I turn that off because I'll be fucking just sending it around corners, constantly drifting.
I still really want to drive your MX-5 just because I've had like.
I would like to try one.
I've had like 3 or 4 friends that have had MX-5s, and it's always been one of those things where like. I would have liked to have driven them, but when 2 of my friends had them, I wasn't driving. And then when one of my other friends had one, it was like, well, why would I drive your MX-5 when I have my Z4?
Yeah. I'm you, but better.
I still really want an OG MX-5.
Yeah.
I've driven...
I know someone that's got one that isn't moving.
Because Dad's got an NC at the moment, which I took for a bit of a spin. Wasn't actually that impressed, actually. Like, it handled nice, but like I was amazed at how noisy it was inside, considering I'm used to my Jimny and stuff and my old MR2, and it was way louder than both of those inside. Yeah. But it did handle nice, whereas I imagine yours is way more refined and nicer and stuff. But
is yours the newest model one, Ryan?
Yeah.
Or have they had a facelift?
You've got an RF, haven't you?
Yeah, it's an RF. Yeah, it's
I really
like
really
the
like
Mark 4 now, isn't it? So because there's Mark 1,
it's ND.
You got your Mark 2s, which are where they got rid of the flappy headlights.
Yeah.
Then you got the Mark 3, which looks like absolute fucking dog shit. And then
the late Mark 3s, which is what my dad's got, don't look too bad.
Yeah, they started to like push them up a bit, didn't they? Because I was looking at one.
Well, it's NA, NB, NC, and ND. It's like with the RX-7, FA, FB, FC, FD. So NA's Mark 1 flip up lights. NBs have actually aged quite well. I didn't used to like them, but they look really nice now.
I've never been an MX-5 fan personally. It's just they've never appealed to me as they have to a lot of people. They're always a car. It's like I'd like to drive one to try and see what everyone likes about them, but it's never pulled me. But out of all of the MX-5s, obviously the original MX-5 gets kind of a pass just because of the flappy headlights.
Pop headlights. Up and down headlights.
They always get a win because of pop-up headlights. Is it the NB is the Mark II, isn't it?
NB, yeah. It's A, B, C, D.
I remember, like you said, when you first see it didn't look good, but I think over time it's kind of worked.
They've got really nice lines to them. They actually almost look like if you do them right, they look like a baby FDRX7 without the pop-up lights.
There's people who've got body kits for them body kitted them, and they just look so nice. And like,
there's an incredibly rare Japan only. They did an NB coupe that wasn't even a convertible. They actually made a coupe MX-5, and they're mega rare. And then obviously there's the NC, and the first of the NCs looks shit. They had this big round bulbous bumper with two little fog lights, and they looked like a fucking boat.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing them. It's like they look like the car that's like the kind of like that they got dropped on their head a little bit when they were born. Like the parents love them because they have to love them.
But then they facelifted it and it looked a lot better, like the later ones. That's the shape my dad got. And then you're onto Ryan's shape, which is the ND, which only came out in 15, I think.
I can't wait to see what they do with the ND, with the next generation, because the way they've been going with all their
it'll be a while.
All their other cars, though, look so nice. Like, and I got an Mazda 2, like with basically all the bells and whistles whilst they were looking at my MX-5, and I was like, I'd actually like really like one of these cars, because it was even though it had all the bells and whistles, it was just such a nice drive. I was like, this would have been the car I'd have got if I didn't get like the MX-5. And like with me, it's only like, I've only had the jump from I drove a Fiesta for learning, because that's basically
learning.
Yeah, it's either a Corsa or a Fiesta.
Mine was in a diesel Corsa.
I learned in a Peugeot. I did my lessons in a Peugeot, and I passed my test in a Citroen C2.
Nice.
And then I drove a micro.
Mentioning Peugeot,
I loved that micro you guys had.
I saw this video of this youth, and he's like videoing himself driving his Peugeot, and he's like, "God, I love fast cars." And I was just like, boy, I love fast cars. The chat, like the comments on this video.
And why are you driving a Peugeot?
Everyone's just going in on this guy. This guy's like, but I like my car. Don't get me wrong, Peugeot did some good cars, but
they did. Credit to them, they've started putting out some really nice looking cars lately as well.
They have had some good design stuff. I mean, just going back to that Peugeot kid though, one of the things I used to fucking love doing, because whenever I was in the Z4, I'd always have, no matter where I was, some boy racer would rock up next to me in like a fucking Seat Leon or like a Fiesta ST or something like that, and they'd always pull up,
Fabia.
Yeah, they'd always pull up in shit like that, and it's like they'd like look over and do the whole like, oh, gotta go for him, because like mine was pretty much debadged. It didn't say the engine on it. It just had like S Drive and Z4. It didn't say it was a 3 litre. So I'd always go into first, I'd be with them, I'd just coast with them in first, and as soon as I'd get to the point, I'd just floor it. After they've like, once they've got to the point where they'd be like thinking they're like kind of keeping up, and then just floor it and just leave them.
Bye.
I had I can't remember if it was a Civic or what. It was a Toyota. It was a Honda, sorry. What was it? Toyota. This Honda pulls up next to me. And when they pull up, like I'm in the left-hand lane, they pull up on the right lane, about to jump onto the A52 where we are. I'm like, they're looking at me. I'm like, what are you looking at me for? Like,
hello.
Hi. Do you think you're gonna have me? I'm like, and they're like, they kind of give me this look, and then I'm like, the lights hit, and then they try and go for it. And I'm just like, see ya. Just like, 1 second, get around the corner. As soon as I'm around the corner, I'm just like, gone. I'm just like, see ya.
Yeah, the best one of those I ever had, because I've never really had I've had a few like burn ups with people in my car when I had the MR2, but nothing like insane. I did upset an M3 on Huffley Lane by my house, which was quite funny, because it's a road where you can't exploit power. So being in a light 2-seater, it's just like, I'm not going anywhere. Hello. But the best one I had was when I was on my Aprilia, and I was going down the dual carriageway just around the outskirts of Shrewsbury, and this Audi S5 came off the roundabout. And don't get me wrong, fast car.
Yeah,
but you can't compete with a liter bike with buckets of torque that only weighs
it was a fucking
175 kilos.
Yeah, wasn't yours a Tuono you had?
For reference, it had something like 1,100 horsepower per ton or something like that. So it was like I came off the roundabout. I saw him put his foot down, but like just pulling away from him, and the front wheels lifting, looking over like hello, and then like pulling away on the back wheel, just like I'm going now, goodbye.
my people need me.
Oh god, that was funny. That's the funniest one I've ever had.
It wasn't the best moment of like that I've had wasn't like the funniest moment, and I didn't even actually win, but it was just the most fun one I had. And I was literally, I think it was the first time I was driving my Z4 to my dad's house, and he lives in the buttfuck middle of nowhere on the way to like Lincoln from Nottingham. So there's loads of like B roads that you do, and there was this one bit where you go through like a village. And some guy in it was like a Porsche Boxster. It was like the top of the line, like I don't even think it was a Boxster. I think it was one of the lower end Caymans. It was a good Porsche, and it was a nice looking Porsche.
They're all pretty decent, to be honest. None of them bad.
Yeah, it wasn't the hairdresser looking one. It was like the kind of mean looking ones. I'm sure it was
Cayman S.
Yeah, like I'm sure it was a Cayman. I could be wrong, but anyway, so he pulled out in front of me, and we're just going down this B road, and I went, "Let's try this." So
see if you egg him on.
Well, I knew the road just because of one. I was obviously had the sat nav up anyway, just because I was using it for the traffic, but also I'd done the route like once or twice before, so I knew just round this one turn it was going to be a perfect flat and a perfect straight, and he wasn't really going at like what you'd expect someone to go with in that kind of car, so I just overtook him on that straight, and that's it. That was the kind of moment where it was like, remember in
switch flipped.
You know when you're in games and like feel like Need for Speed Underground, you'd flash them with the headlights, and that's it. A random impromptu race would start. That's literally how it happened. I overtook him, and that was it. We fucking went, and there was this one bit where come around another turn and he goes to overtake me. I drop a gear, try and keep up, but I just couldn't keep up with him because he was in a faster car.
Yeah, that's always fun. I don't think I've ever had that, but I do remember a very good one when I was a kid, actually, when we were in the car with my dad, and we had a Subaru Impreza WR1, which was a Pro Drive limited run they made. They only made 500 of them, and that thing was fucking quick. That thing was like horrifyingly quick. I want to say it was, I don't remember what horsepower they are, upper 300s, maybe low 4, I can't remember, and weighs nothing. But then it had all the Pro Drive diffs in it as well, so it was just like, that thing was a missile. And we were coming home from a meal the one night, and these boy racers in a Corsa like kind of tried to like get egg us on. My dad just fucking just we shot. God, that was a good car. I admit, it's a shame because I was too young to really appreciate what it was, but now it's just like, that was a very rare car and also just really cool.
I still remember when Joe got his M5, because me and Becky had come down to come over to your house, Ollie, and Joe had turned up literally day one of getting his M5. So it was like, we'll all get in, we'll all go Tesco. And we're in this M5, this ridiculously powerful, so nice M5. And he's just driving, and like, I think there was like one turn, because he had the traction control off, obviously, because it's Joe. Go around one turn, and we had a very, very, very brief moment of, yeah, that was what I thought it was, wasn't it? Yeah. Becky at this point is like, what? Because she doesn't like any of this stuff. And then we're pulling into fucking Tesco. And obviously, all Tesco's have the little roundabout. He starts going around the roundabout. All of a sudden, full oversteer. Controls it, does it as normal, and carries on without batting an eyelid. Doesn't say anything. I'm laughing in the back. Becky's like, what? And literally, is perfectly silent until he pulls up into the parking spot and goes, that wasn't meant to happen. And then just gets out the car and carries on.
Sorry, my foot slipped off the clutch.
My favourite moment is with driving, and it's not even in my MX-5, and it's like the only time I've actually like drifted with a car, and it was because it was icy. It was it was snowy, And I'm going up to Castle Donington way, towards near the airport where I used to work, up at the back of there. And there's a few roundabouts, and I'm going up, and I'm like, I kind of went in, and I put a little bit of speed in there. Front wheel drive, fucking little shitty Clio, like 1.2 litre. And the back, I just handbraked it. I was like, fuck it. Back I'm like, yeah. There's like all these people behind me, like, what a dick. And I'm like, let's go.
Yes.
It's sliding.
Gas. Go on, right.
You go, Ollie, because I've had a few.
I was just going to say, because to be fair, every single time we've had a really good snow, I've been in a front-wheel drive car. It never snowed when I had the MR2, and it's never snowed when I've had the Jimny. And sod's law, whatever I get next, it's going to be front-wheel drive, and it's going to fucking snow again.
Yeah.
But I remember,
want it to snow so bad.
We had a really good snow. We had a really good snow when I had the Micra, and it snowed so much that it actually jammed one of the rear wheels up. Not that you could tell because it was so slippy, so it just slid along.
It just carried on.
Literally, we actually have a video, and you can see me driving past, and one of the rear wheels just isn't moving because it's so clogged with snow. But we had. Did you ever see the little black KA I drove for a little bit before I had the Jimny? I think you might have seen it.
Yeah, I think I saw it briefly.
Last time you came here.
Yeah, and I think there was a point where you said you wanted to get me in it to see what I looked like in it.
That might have been the beat because that was tiny. You would have fit in that actually. I got one of my co-workers who I think is about your height, possibly even taller actually, and he fit in it. But when we had the KA, we had a good snow, and fair play, that car was fucking good in the snow. I put some Kumo Extras on it, and it did really well. But again, you could kind of like jam it on the handbrake to kind of coax it, and I figured out how to like turn into junctions using the handbrake, so I could just like drift into the junctions. It was so funny. Just like coming up to a junction, normal, it was really snowy, and it obviously was snowing so much that the grit on the road wasn't working. Everyone was just creeping along like 5 miles an hour, and just like I was going slow as well.
This is little KA spending it
about 10-15 miles an hour, but then just going rather than just going. Kind of creep around the corner, like it just like, and then the back end would come out and just really slowly drift it, and then just carry on. Like if it was sped up, it would look like a really extreme drift, but it was just like in slow motion, just going. Oh,
if Initial D was done in the UK and on a budget,
it was so good.
It's like, have you seen that it was the ultra cheap cosplay guy? It's like that is what your drift was then. It was just ultra cheap cosplay of Initial D in the UK.
Basically, yeah.
I think I'd really like to see I know there's there must be a few tracks around, but I don't think there's as many tracks like you see Japan. They've got all these kind of like tracks where you just take your car, like they do that all the time, and it's not like you've got all these fucking event days on like we do. It's just like this is literally for people to go and race and drift, like drift tracks. I'd really like to see a couple of those around because
I think there is a few, but like you said, I think they're only really for events. I
think the problem is
just briefly before we go on, just because you was on about like that snow drift, it just reminded me of a situation I did to Becky back when I had the 4 Series. So the 4 Series was the X Drive. So whenever I tried to like coax it when I was in like the car parks and stuff, it just didn't do much until we had slush and snow. Went to do the shop.
Black ice.
We went to do the shop, and because it was night, because we used to go shopping at night anyway. As I was leaving, I went, let me just put this into no traction control mode and just have a bit of fun. So I just drifted a little bit, like coming out of the car parking space and then out onto the road. And Becky was just having a massive go at me. But then, like, I think it was the week after, the snow had pretty much all but gone. And as we got back to the car, Becky went, you won't be able to do that drifting on me again this time. And I literally just looked at her and just went, oh, you really shouldn't have fucking said that. So I literally just turned the traction control off. And it was a fucking automatic as well. Traction control off, the hardest sport setting you could put it in. And I just literally overcooked it to the maximum, literally just so I just spun out. And she's just she's in the car, like slapping me, like, no, you shouldn't stop doing this with me in the car.
What I had envisioned then was when she said that, oh, you can't do that drifting now. You know, the monkey meme where it like gives the side eye. That's what I could think of. Just like,
I was more thinking the goofy one, which is, I'll fucking do it again.
She's there doing goofy fucking wake me up. Wake me up. Save me.
Save me. I think it's every man's responsibility to at some point in their life make their other half uncomfortable in the car, because I always drift the Jimny because it's so fucking easy on those. Even though it's only 83 horsepower, it's also on massive all-terrain tires that have no grip on wet tarmac. So you just send it around the roundabout. I remember because we had that really bad flooding at the start of the year, so loads of the roads were closed, and the one industrial estate, the one night it was really stormy as well, and fucking absolutely belting it down, but you couldn't get, no one could get onto the industrial estate because it was flooded. Well, obviously I was in the Jimny with a snorkel, so I got through the water and I had an industrial estate to myself. So it was literally this massive roundabout. It must be about easily 50 meters in diameter, like quite a big one, and I just put it in first and just fucking got up to speed in first and then dumped the clutch in second and then just bounced it off the limiter. And I was just doing laps to this roundabout in the Jimny in the rain. Oh god, that was, because I know I can do this because no one can stop me. No one's going to come by because it was flooded to get in. So just like I just had this whole industrial estate to fuck around on. It was so funny.
You just remind me of this. I'm sure there's a meme that is, I'm making macaroni and cheese and no one can fucking stop me. It's just you in the Jimny and no one can fucking stop me.
Wipers to full speed because it was belting it down. So there's loads of standing water. Headlight songs. It was like they're just going wah, bah, 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 bah. Like really slowly drifting this round.
Wait, how fast was the actual drift? Was it like a 30-mile-an-hour drift kind of thing?
No, like maybe 15, 20 miles an hour.
That's even better.
Because it's got no grip on those tires. If you
Eurobeat intensifies.
It's just Eurobeat intensifies, but it's at like half speed. So rather than being it's just
it's like it's classical. It's classic. What's his name? It's like he's like gas. I got to slip on gas.
It's like spoken word jazz. Gas.
Just some walking jazz with some like random dissonant notes.
The police get called. They're like, "We've got to stop this guy." A police officer literally just walks up to you and opens the door and
just takes the keys out.
Well, no, that's another funny thing I can do with the Jimny. The ignition barrel's so fucked that while the engine's running and it's locked in ignition, you can still pull the key out. So I do this thing every now and then where I'll be driving, I'll go, "Can you just hold this a minute?" and just throw them the key.
I'm sure that's a Vine that happened where it was just like, "Hey, you've been drinking too much, you can't drive. Give me your keys." He just takes the keys out while he's driving and carries on. "It's good. We can go home now."
My favorite one's the one where they go, like somebody says something about their car and they're like, "Right, you lost airbag privileges." They pull out the keys, they turn off the passenger airbag with the keys, put it back in. If we're going out
airbag. What do you have to do to lose airbag permissions in someone's car?
They said something about the car.
You can't drift it again.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna drift it and turn your airbag off, bitch.
See, the airbags in the passenger seat on mine work off like weight, so it can tell when somebody's sat in it.
You can still turn them off. Yeah, you can still turn them off because it's that's the same in most modern cars where the airbags will only go off on certain areas if it's sensed that there's someone in those areas. But you can still turn the passenger airbag for like the frontal one off because obviously there's some baby seats which will be reverse facing. So if you've got the airbag on at reverse facing,
why you've been putting a baby
it's just
seat
like,
in my
how did your baby get yeeted out of the rear window when you crashed? Yes.
Well, he lost his airbag privileges.
No, that was the issue. He just regained them as I crashed.
See,
He regained them and he abused them, and now he's lost them again.
you'd have to have a really slimline baby seat, otherwise, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to see out the left-hand side
baby
of the
then.
car.
He's on the baby's on the
Must have a
Atkins
really
diet,
slimline
boys.
baby. he's on keto.
I think my
Keto
favorite
baby.
thing,
I think that's sorry. I've just gotten the episode names. That's keto baby loses airbag privileges.
my last thought on having a 2-seater car though is, thank God people don't sit there and I give George lifts in the morning, which part of me regrets, part of me doesn't, because I have to go through Long Eaton, which is a fucking shit show, whatever.
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
And I can't send it very well with George in the car. No offense, George, you're just a little bit bigger than usual. So it's when you're trying to lose weight on an MX-5, it's literally what you've got in it. It's not taking stuff off.
He's trying to do weight reduction, bro, but he's got a passenger who won't do weight reduction.
Well, no. What you need to do is take the spare wheel out, and then when you inevitably have a puncture, you'll have to call your mum and ask her to bring the spare wheel. Yeah, no, it's happened again.
Spare wheel? What is this spare wheel you talk of?
You don't have one, do you? You've got puncture repair kit.
I've got foam. I've got that foam.
What? I'll fucking chuck your foam out then.
Oh, I could take
anyway.
the tow rods. I could take the tow rods out and stuff like that to hook it up to be towed. I could take those out. That'd be all right.
I've got a spare wheel bolted to my doors.
You could also, get rid of all the hairdressing equipment. That might help.
That's the engine, bro. You can't say that. It's running off hair dryers. 6 hair dryers, bro.
I see a forced induction mod. You open it up, it's just a Babyliss hair dryer into the intake.
It's on full chat all the time.
I'm still yet to take a picture of my engine and just put. I really want to put my. I've actually got a Babyliss hair dryer. It seems to be a problem with the engine. Just do all those videos. Open up. I'm like, just pull out the hair dryer.
What you need to do is you need to have it so the hair dryer's in there, and just have it so all your spark plugs are loose. So when there's something wrong with my engine, it's not going right. So open it up so there's like a fucking hairdryer in there and a straightener in there, and then just pull the spark plugs out and go, oh yeah, that's the issue, and then shut it and carry on.
And then cut back into the car and start it. It starts perfectly.
You should use a pair of hair straighteners like a spanner and do them back up. There we go.
I'm about to change gear, and I put I've cut to my hand, and it's like grabbing hold of like a strimmer or like a trimmer. It's like, yeah.
You should do I'm repainting my car, and then have like the little brush for bleaching hair and the foil.
In all seriousness, I will. I don't know what the actual name is for it, but I will put big titty anime girls on my car. If we get a GoFundMe and it gets funded, I will do it. I will do that to my car.
You know for a fact you'll instantly get like pulled over by the cops. Like, is this allowed? Is this allowed?
I know. Is this allowed? I'll do it. How many people actually do that? No. There was a Nissan Cube, I think it was.
Oh god, I think I know exactly the one you're on about.
Fucking High School DxD, is it?
Yeah.
Is that the one? No, is it High School of the Dead? No, High School DxD. Wait, I'm
gonna look for it because I remember seeing it and it's so funny.
High School of the Dead. It had High School of the Dead on it, and it was in the East Midlands because I saw it in Beeston. I was like, yo, what mad motherfucker got this cube and got like just massive anime titties all over it? It's like the most ugly car ever, but then they're like, but it's just got
titties. Like the best anime artwork ever because it's High School of the Dead.
So as a result, it's just a normal car.
Yeah,
it balanced out. I don't know what they were thinking when they built those. They made them. They were just like how a kid draws a car, where it's like square. It's like that
Homer. It's like that Homer car, but worse.
It
Yeah. Yeah,
But
pretty
we do need to close up. So I think it's
Put
been
your hair dries in neutral, boys. It's time to end the stream.
I've actually thoroughly enjoyed talking shit about some of these cars because, like, I honestly thought we was going to talk about some of the lemons we've owned, but we've actually just talked funny car stories, which is
I've not
just as fun.
I've owned 2 cars. Like, what do you want me to talk about? Oh, the Shagwagon, the Clio, the Shagwagon.
To
be fair, I've owned some quite interesting cars over the years.
Yeah, you've got quite a good history for like, cars. Mine's just like I've owned a full lemon, an amazingly good car that is also a lemon, and then 2 kind of standard cars after that. But I've driven a handful of cars because of the amazingly good car that was a lemon was always in the fucking garage.
I'm gonna get a new car. I'm gonna get a new car, boys.
Oh, he's doing
I
it.
have a new car.
And Ollie is doing it. And I'm still here with my shitty Picanto.
My dad doesn't think the Clio's going to last much longer because we've hit like 90,000 miles and it's quite low geared. So I'm like,
it's made of spitting Kleenex.
When my dad
they're easy numbers, boys. My Celica had 186,000 miles on the clock when I bought it.
Yeah. I'm hoping like they've been talking about getting a new like family car, like big car, which I was meant to go on the insurance for the Z-Tech, but they didn't. But if they do get another one, I'm like, well, maybe I should. I'd be there like, boys, looks like we're getting a Honda Civic full spec.
Mate, after the one I drove today, like, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the Civic.
I'm talking
we drove
Type
today.
R here. We're going full out there. Type R. That's fucking.
Yeah, I did say to them like, oh yeah, because my wife's buying one. Can I drive the Type R? And he went, I'd love to, but the manager is taking it on holiday with him.
What a cunt. Actual fuck.
But yeah, we're gonna.
Can I come back and test drive it?
Yeah, I did that for the GTR. But yeah, we're gonna close off the stream for the day. So if you've got any questions, queries, car memes, or vines, or TikToks you want to send over to us, you can do that on the Twitter, which is @ContextNeeded1. If you want to speak to us in a more formal manner, as we always say, this needs to be a 4,000-word essay. There needs to be an abstract at the front, and all sources need to be cited in Harvard referencing at the end.
They all need to be quill written as well.
Yep, quill written,
standard quill written and scanned into the computer and then emailed over.
I agree.
No, they also need to be stamped with a wax seal as well.
Oh yes, definitely.
Like proper mail it. We'll get a PO box.
Yeah, we'll get a PO box especially for those. But all the essays, they need to be sent to contextneededuk@gmail.com. But from me, the big man with a small car, Kyle, from hairdresser boy Ryan.
I do good rates. I'll cut your hair.
And
you want a mullet? I can give you a mullet.
And Eurovision goes slowified, Ollie.
Eurovision. Okay, yeah, we'll take it. Eurovision.
It's like Eurobeat, but just not as good.
Always I wanna be with you.
I can imagine you just in the chimney doing a drift with that playing.
Yeah, I will. I'll have to do that before it goes. I'll record it.
Yeah, from all of us here at the Context Needed podcast, thanks everyone for watching, thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you guys next time. See you laters.
Do a flip.